Hi friend! Subscribe to the channel, leave a like and watch the video from start to finish. Peppa Pig is asking you to do it.
It was a gray, rainy day when Mommy Pig returned home from the hospital. The sky looked heavier than usual. Even the birds were quiet. In her arms, wrapped in a pale pink blanket, was a baby. "This is your new sister," she said softly. "Her name is Evi." Peppa jumped with joy. A baby sister, finally! George looked up from his toys, curious. But the moment his eyes met Evi's, he froze. The baby wasn't crying. She wasn't moving. She was staring right at him. Evi didn't act like a normal baby. She didn't cry at night. She didn't giggle. She just watched. Sometimes George would turn his head and catch her eyes already locked on him. Peppa noticed it too. "She's just calm," Mommy Pig said. "Some babies are like that." But George felt something else. Something cold. A few days later, Peppa had a nightmare. She dreamed she was walking down a hallway, long and dark. Evi was sitting in the middle of it, alone. When Peppa tried to approach, Evi whispered something, but her mouth didn't move. Peppa woke up sweating. When she looked at her diary the next morning, a line had been written in shaky handwriting. "Don't let her in." Peppa blinked. She hadn't written that. Had she? That same night, George woke up to a strange sound. It was faint, like a lullaby, but warped, like it was playing backwards. He sat up in bed, heart racing. The sound was coming from Evi's room. Slowly, George slid out from under the covers and tiptoed down the hall. The house was too quiet. Even the clock wasn't ticking. He reached Evi's door. It creaked open on its own. Inside, the crib was empty. Evi was gone. Then, a soft whisper. "George." He turned. Evi stood behind him, but she looked older, taller, her eyes darker than before. "Do you want to play?" she asked. Her voice was too clear, too perfect. Not like a baby's voice at all. George ran, down the hallway, back to his room, slamming the door behind him. He hid under his blankets, trembling until morning. At breakfast, he said nothing. Neither did Peppa, until she pulled him aside and whispered, "Did she speak to you?" George nodded slowly. Peppa's hands were shaking. "I think she's pretending to be a baby." That afternoon, they followed Evi. She had crawled into the living room, then, without warning, stood up. Just stood, on two legs, staring at the window. Outside, there was nothing, but Evi raised her hand and waved to someone or something. There was no one there. That night, Peppa locked her door. George did the same. At 2:14 a.m., every light in the house flickered, then went out. The baby monitor began to buzz. It wasn't plugged in. Then a voice came through. 2 words, whispered, "I'm here." In the morning, the house seemed normal again. Sunlight streamed through the windows. The birds were singing. The air felt light. But in Evi's crib, there was only the blanket. No baby. Mommy Pig called the police. Everyone searched. They found no trace. That night, Peppa found George sitting on the floor of his room, staring at his closet. "It's not over," he whispered. Peppa knelt beside him. He pointed to the closet door. Carved into the wood, in tiny, perfect letters, were 3 words. She never left.
Subscribe to the channel and watch the next video.